Welcome to Worldview on Spectrum TV. I am Emedion James. Coming up on the program today, a powerful typhoon busted lake in Taiwan as the strongest storm in years barreled towards China. Donald Trump delivers a charged speech at the United Nations General Assembly. Will bring you the key moment. And in the United States, late-night host Jimmy Kimmel makes a tearful return to television, calling out what he describes as anti-American threat to free speech. Stay with us for the latest from around the world. I am Emedion James, and this is Worldview. Many thanks for staying tuned to us on Worldview today. We begin from the Asian Pacific region where two people have died in eastern Taiwan and scores more are trapped or missing after a super typhoon caused a mountain lake to burst its bank, fire officials said. That lake formed by previous landslide broke on Tuesday afternoon, sending water surging into the nearby township of Guangfu in Yunlin County. Rescuers from across Taiwan are heading to the area. Super Typhoon Rakasa is the strongest storm of 2025 and is now bearing down on China's southern coast. It is due to make landfall in Guangdong province today, where some 370,000 people have been evacuated and many schools and businesses shut. Hong Kong have upgraded its typhoon warning to level 10, the maximum level. Rakasa, equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane, packed wind gusts of up to 285 kilometers at its highest point on Monday and has triggered warnings of flood, storm surges and landslide across the region this week. Taiwan has been lashed by the outside edge of Rakasa since on Monday. The island recorded almost 60 centimeters of rain in its east due to the typhoon. In Yunlin County, the Boss Lake washed away a bridge, uprooted trees and submerged cars. Videos showed the fast-moving water flowing through the area. Ling Yong-shun, deputy chief of Yunlin County Fire Department, told newsmen that in some places, water temporarily rose as high as the second floor of a house and was about as high as one floor in the town center where the water has been receding. About 263 people were trapped and moved up to the higher ground where the river suddenly rose. They are not in immediate danger, but they are very worried about the high water. Elsewhere in Taiwan, 6 people also were injured, ferry services suspended, and more than 100 international flights cancelled as Rakasa passed through. Chinese authorities are warning of a storm surges of up to 5 meters. Some 370,000 people have been evacuated so far in Guangdong as authorities warned of a catastrophic situation. Supermarket shelves in Hong Kong were wiped empty of fresh bread, vegetables, meat and instant noodles as residents prepared to hunker down. Hong Kong International Airport said it expected significant disruption to flight operations from 6 a.m. local time on Tuesday until the next day. The right-hand side of Rakasa, as it approaches Hong Kong and Guangdong, is known as the dirty side, and it is this which will hit the region. The dirty side can be much more destructive than the left-hand side, primarily because the motion of the storm is added to the background circulation of the typhoon. Typhoon Rakasa, the world's most powerful tropical cyclone this year, barreled towards towards tens of millions of people in southern China today after killing 14 people in Taiwan, leaving scores missing and lashing Hong Kong with voracious winds and heavy rains. In the meantime, Thai authorities rushed to contain a hole near a hospital in central Bangkok that disrupted utilities and traffic, officials said today. The 50-meter deep, 164 feet sinkhole extended about 900 square meters in front of Vajira Hospital, halting traffic. Footage on social media showed the road slowly sinking as water poured out from the drained pipe, dragging down electricity poles and other dangerous items. The hospitals announced that it would take care of the patient during the incidents. Still on climate issues, at least 12 people died as heavy rain lashed the eastern India city of Kolkata and surrounding areas ahead of a major festival, flooding streets, disrupting transport and leaving residents stranded for hours, officials said today. Most of the rain, as much as 251.6 millimeters in 24 hours, fell during the early hours of Tuesday and was the heaviest witnessed in the city since 1988, said H.R. Biswas, the regional head of India Meteorological Department in Kolkata. Police said 9 people died in Kolkata, with most of the deaths due to electrocutions. 2 people drowned, he also added. The rain brought the state capital to a standstill, seriously hampering preparations for the upcoming Durgan Puja, the biggest annual festival of Hindus in West Bengal state. Let's move down to Donald Trump's speech at the UN National Assembly. On this note, we are going to take a look at key moments from Trump's UN speech. US President Donald Trump took the stage at the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday, delivering a sweeping speech that touched on foreign policy, immigration, climate change, and more. He attacked friends and rivals alike while making controversial and often factually inaccurate assertions. Here's a look at some of his key comments and arguments, and how they held up against the facts. First was a broken teleprompter. Trump kicked off his speech with a light-hearted comment about a non-functional teleprompter, noting that he did not mind that it was not working. A UN official said the teleprompter was being operated by the White House. He also made comment about Europe destroying their country. Trump said that nations that were welcoming immigrants than the US under him were destroying their countries. Trump further referred to his administration's policies towards migrant and asylum seekers. Trump's claim about undocumented migrants, some of whom cross the border seeking asylum, whom he calls illegal, are an extraction. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, nationwide apprehension and border crossing dropped from about 60,600 in August 2024 to roughly 8,200 in July 2024. This is one of the lowest monthly totals in decades, but it is not close to zero. He also talked about the pressure on Russia and the Ukraine war. Trump criticized Washington NATO's allies for continuing to buy Russian energy, while urging Europe to step up pressure on Moscow avoid war on Ukraine. China and India are primarily funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil, but inexcusably, even NATO countries have not cut off much Russian energy and Russian energy products, Trump said. Trump warned that the U.S. is prepared to impose a new round of tariff on Russia if no agreement is reached to end the war. He also talked about the greatest con job ever. Trump returned to his long-standing criticism of climate science. Trump said, "If we look back years ago, in the 1920s and 1930s. They said global cooling will kill the world. His remarks came as the UN urged countries to present their updated decarbonization target at the UNGA, aiming to revive momentum in the global fight against climate change. Of course, Trump talked about his efforts in ending the 7 wars in the world. Trump cast himself as a global peacemaker and saying that he ended 7 wars, and in all cases they were ranging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, a vicious violent war that was Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan. Though Trump has taken credit for helping to pause the conflict he listed, some countries have disrupted his claim. India in particular have publicly and repeatedly insisted that it may clash with Pakistan, ended through bilateral conversation between the militaries of the South Asian neighbors, not any U.S. mediation. On Iran's strike and peace push, Trump pointed to the U.S. strike on India's nuclear site as proof of U.S. strength, saying it helped him broker an end to the Israel-Iran military clashes in June. Trump said he extended a pledge of full cooperation in exchange for a suspension of Iran's nuclear program. The regime's answers was to continue their constant threat to their neighbors and U.S. interests throughout the region. At that time, Mehdi Mohammedin, an advisor to the chairman of the Iranian parliament, said that the U.S. attack was not surprising and not irreversible. He also talked about that authorities had evacuated all 3 nuclear sites that were bombed in advance. Trump also talked about recognizing Palestinian state as a reward to Hamas. He further condemned mounting effort to recognize the Palestinian state, accusing Hamas of blocking peace and demanding the release of captives being held in Gaza. Meanwhile, Hamas on Tuesday refuted any responsibility for the failure to reach a deal to end the war in Gaza. It said in a statement that they have never been an obstacle to reaching an agreement. The U.S. administration, the mediators, and the world know that Netanyahu is a sole obstructionist in all its attempts to reach an agreement, it added, referring to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Meanwhile, Hamas has said it is ready for a truce that would lead to the release of captive and Palestinian prisoners in Israel jails, as well as a withdrawal of Israeli army from Gaza. But Netanyahu has refused to commit to a full withdrawal. On drug traffickers, Trump says that they will blow out anyone in existence. Trump defended the controversial U.S. military strike on boats carrying what he alleges are Venezuela's drug traffickers, which have killed at least 17 people. Experts have cast doubt on the legality of U.S. attacks on foreign boats in international waters. Data from both the UN and U.S. itself suggest that Venezuela is not a major source of cocaine coming in the U.S., as Trump has claimed. The Trump administration has not provided evidence linking Maduro to Tren de Aragua or any drug cartel, and the Venezuelan leader has denied the allegations. The U.S. intelligence community has also contradicted claims of ties between Venezuela's government and the gang. Trump also, in a rhetorical shift, says Ukraine can retake all its lands. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday he believed Ukraine could retake all its land occupied by Russia and that Kiev should act now, with Moscow facing big economic problems, in a sudden and striking rhetorical shift in Ukraine's favor. Also, There was no sign that Trump's word could be matched by a change in U.S. policy, such as a decision to impose a heavy new sanction on Moscow sought by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as he traveled to New York this week. Putin and Russia are in big trouble, and this is a time for Ukraine to act, Trump wrote on Truth Social shortly after meeting Zelensky on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York. He said this after seeing the economic troubles, that is the war, and what is causing Russia. According to him, he thinks Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a better position to fight and win all of Ukrainian territories back to its original form. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron said on Tuesday, if US President Donald Trump really wants to win the Nobel Peace Prize, he needs to stop the war in Gaza. Speaking to France News from New York, Macron said only Trump had the power to put pressure on Israel to end the war. Also, Emmanuel Macron made a phone call to Donald Trump after his journey to the French embassy was blocked by police officers preparing for the motorcade of the US president. Video shows Macron outside his vehicle speaking with New York police officers, asking to negotiate with them. We'll take a quick break right now. When we return, the spotlight is still on the UN National Assembly. Please stay tuned. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is Worldview on Spectrum TV. We head now to the Asian Pacific region where South Korean President Lee Jae-myung vowed on Tuesday to end a vicious cycle of unnecessary military tensions with North Korea with the aim of achieving peaceful coexistence and shared growth. In his first speech to the United Nations General Assembly, Lee emphasized his vision of a phased solution to the North Korean nuclear issue based on a cool-headed perception that denuclearization cannot be achieved in the short term. On Sunday, the leader of nuclear-armed North Korea, Kim Jong-un, rejected any phased plan, saying recent overtures from Washington and Seoul for dialogue were disingenuous because their fundamental intent to weaken Pyongyang remained unchanged. Kim said there was no reason to avoid talks with the US if Washington stopped insisting he gives up his nuclear weapons, but he would never abandon a nuclear arsenal to any US-led sanctions. Lastly on Worldview Today, Jimmy Kimmel has criticized anti-American threats to free speech during an emotional return to late-night U.S. television following a brief suspension after his comment about killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Through tears, the comedian said during Tuesday's comeback show that it was never his intention to make light of the murder of a young man. Kimmel accused the head of the organization that regulates American TV of mob tactics and poke fun at President Donald Trump's appearance at the UN, including an escalator mishap. But Tuesday's episode was not available to viewers in all markets due to opposition from some local stations affiliated with Kimmel's network, ABC. Trump, who had welcomed the comedian's suspension, was critical of the reinstatement, writing, "I can't believe ABC fake news gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back." Jimmy Carmel's life had been pulled after his host statement about the shooting of Kirk caused uproar earlier this month. And that's what we have for you on Worldview today. Today, actually, we follow the disruptive path of super typhoon in Asia, examined Donald Trump's headlines, grabbing speech at UN, and looked at Jimmy Carmel's emotional stand for free expression. I am Imogen James. From all of us here, thank you for watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do stay joined to us for more news and analysis, and join us again next time for another edition of The World. Do have a lovely day. Goodbye.